Wait, are we rolling?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
let's get into it.
It's 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it sure is. 9:30 is, I believe, the time that we said we were going to meet for this podcast. This is becoming a trend.
Rob
right?
was pretty adamant about the 9:30. By the way, I've been here since 8:30. You know.
Okay. Why'd you do that?
Well, I dropped my kid off at school, and that whole thing was done by 8:15, and it's
you
here.
just flew here.
And I was, I'm here. He goes to school not so far from this office. So,
oh boy, yeah.
So I figured I'd come in, get a little work done, and
get some coffee in you.
Get some coffee in me.
Yeah. Are you on your first or your second cup of
coffee?
Oh
God, no. I've had a thermos for coffee, and then I was like,
Jesus,
I'm gonna get some more coffee.
I can't do that anymore, man. I've cut way back on my coffee.
Anyway, Rob's late.
Now, before we started rolling on this.
Yeah. Here we come. It's 9:30.
Look at your clock.
9:31.
9:31.
9:31.
9:31.
And guess what? I was here and nobody told me that the garage, I have to go to the lower garage, not the upper garage.
Oh, so it was a garage error.
It was a garage error. I was on time.
Well, no, see, on time is when you don't know which garage it is. You get there a little bit early, so just in case
I did know what
there's
garage
to make
it was.
sure that you have time to make the mistake of
You
going
knew
to the
which
wrong
garage it was, and you
I
still
did.
made a garage error?
I was told it was the upper garage, and it wasn't.
Oh, you were told it was
You
the
were
upper garage.
lied to about
yes.
garage
Hey.
placement. So there's an upper garage, there's a lower garage.
Who are
they
we
have us
yelling
in
at?
the basement.
Who are we yelling at?
It's already been done.
The gang goes Jihad? The gang goes
The gang
Jihad.
went Jihad about 15 years ago.
Yeah, I sure did.
gang
One of
goes
the things I noticed in the episode as I was watching is I was like, oh, yeah, George Bush was the president.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, he was. Yes, we talk about that.
Yes,
Very
dude.
true.
We do?
We've
Yeah.
been through four presidents.
Yeah, 4 presidents.
Oh my God, that's too. We've been on for too long, guys. We got to stop. What are we doing?
I saw an episode.
We've been through 5 presidential terms.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
Barack Obama, of course, was elected twice.
Two terms.
So theoretically, it could have
5
been,
terms.
could have been 5 presidents.
Well, we start? So we started. Right. We started during Bush's second term.
Yes.
Right.
And then Obama won twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man. Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we've been on a long time.
You sure did.
I love this episode.
You did.
Yeah.
I think it held up.
I do too.
I think it holds up.
I think it was pretty funny. Pretty
All
great.
right. Yeah, I thought it was all right. Yeah. No, it's great.
There's a lot of yelling.
Is there a lot of Yeah, there is a lot of yelling in this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing a lot of people say, like, wow, that show's just people yelling at each other. And they're right.
Yeah, they're right.
I mean, we were right. We were yelling funny things at each other in this one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the people who like our show like how we yell at each other. It's fun, I guess.
I
don't
was
know.
thinking about that bit where we come out of the back door and he's put a fence up. The Josh
so much
Stanberg,
yelling in that.
who played that, but it's hilarious. But and I was trying to remember because I can't remember anything. Now, had we scripted that we freak out, or did we just in the thing we're like, oh, there's a fence and that's the joke?
Yeah, I don't think we scripted that we freaked out to the degree that we were freaking out.
Well,
I
mean, obviously we pushed it, but like,
we're always going to push.
But I'm like,
guys.
that's such a great bit that we go out there and there's a fence, but then beyond that, we
panic. Yeah, we just we feel claustrophobic and we panic.
I would like to go back to the script because I think that the joke was just that we walk out, we see that there's a fence blocking us in, and that's the end of the scene.
I think you're
probably.
Right. Yes, there was a fence, and we were like, he put up a fence. He put up a fence, and
We're downtown. We went through all this work. We put the fence up. Let's do something with
Let's
it.
yell. Let's yell about
scream.
it. I mean, let's scream and yell about it.
Yeah.
Well, I will say it was one of our things from the very beginning of the show that we thought could set us apart from other shows was that it was never my line, your line, your line, my line, my line, your line, my line, your line. It was always like my line. Oh, you want to talk? And then because like the thing is like in a real conversation, the second you have the thing that you want to say, there's a very good chance you're going to cut me off. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You just did it. Yeah.
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 You got to jump in
You
there.
got to get in there. Yeah. We're always talking about, as actors, like sometimes we talk over each other too much, and you're like, I have a funny line. I'd really like to get it out. I'm looking for a space to get it in, and I can't get it in because everyone's talking over each other.
There's another thing I noticed that we did in that episode, which we've talked about that we did in the bar where we had music playing in the bar. When you go into my apartment with Frank and I, and we're cooking up the grilled Charlie or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We have just like a cartoon playing in the background. You don't
Yes.
see it. And I like that. It like creates some atmosphere. I think it's something we stopped doing.
Yeah, it was like, we like the idea of saying that this 30-year-old man, Charlie Kelly, is constantly watching cartoons in his apartment like a little child.
That scene is so funny.
It's
so funny.
It is really funny.
It's the idea of a grilled Charlie. It just suggests like history that you have like a sandwich that you make. It's a ridiculous thing. The way you're dressed is funny. And Anne Archer is so amazing.
Yeah, she's very funny in that scene.
It's so fun. I think we've mentioned too where we just absorbed each other's mannerisms and stuff. I do something in that where I have my hands kind of back on my hips.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's the posture that you do.
That's a Rob thing.
When you're hitting on the woman at the funeral in season 5, which I always love. I love you do that. I was like, oh, that's the thing.
I probably stole it from
No, Rob, you did it in the Home movie.
In the Home movie?
Yeah,
that's been a thing. That's been a thing of yours for a very long time. The hands on the hips and like thrusting, like in a very awkward sort of stance, like an awkward power stance.
Oh yeah. It's a very broad move. Drifting off you guys, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
osmosis.
So funny. I thought that episode was. I thought that scene in particular was so funny. I thought Anne Archer was amazing. I thought the slap across your face was great.
Yeah, that was
slap
great.
was great.
I remember we were trying to get her to actually do it.
Yeah.
Oh, to actually slap you, and she wasn't comfortable with that?
I can't remember.
I don't
think
remember
She did
that.
get me once.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the one we used.
No, that's not the one.
Maybe it just wasn't the best take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, something else that's interesting about season 2 was, and I don't remember, I mean, when we were writing season 2, somewhere along the way, we decided to serialize the show. Not that we were necessarily committing to it being a serialized show every year, but there's a continuity.
Yeah, that episode ends sort of open-ended, which is something that we didn't really do again until this year. We did like little bits of it here and there, but...
Yeah, well, I think we were trying to explain Frank becoming a part of the gang.
Oh, that's why we did it.
Yeah.
That's why we did it. We wanted to slowly integrate him into the gang, and so things...
Buying the bar.
Yeah. That's
how about this? Do you remember us having a conversation, the three of us, as we were writing the episode? And because we would call the episodes, the gang finds a dead guy, or the gang does this, the gang does that. And then if you recall from the conversation that the characters are having in the cold open, we're referring to ourselves as the gang. And then I remember writing it and us going, wait, should we as the characters know that we're the gang, or should it just be a show thing? So we actually wrote that in to the scene where you're saying you're not a part of the gang.
Yeah.
And then Frank is saying, let your sister become a part of the gang. And Charlie and I are going, what are you talking about?
What gang are you talking about? Yeah, it's like in my head.
So that was like a compromise, I think, that we made.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that we made.
And it's very fun. I prefer it. It's a good bit.
Yeah.
It is a good bit, but it's an example of us very early on getting just a little bit meta. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I think we always had that tendency.
And then what else about this episode?
I thought the story came together really well.
Yeah.
I like that. It looked and it seemed like it was a big effect that we did at the very end.
Oh,
right, the explosion.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't though.
No, it wasn't. And like you see,
it's just somebody like lobbing debris at us.
Yeah, that's
right?
a little. Yes, but the reverse shot of that.
Yeah, some serious flame bars on that building. Which looks pretty
See,
good.
like nowadays we would do that all CG because it's safer, I guess, and cheaper. That was real fire.
Yeah, that was real fire.
No, we wouldn't do CG fire. We did real fire this year.
Yeah, well, like one little flame bar, but then we'll enhance that.
Yeah, you enhance it in post.
Yeah,
You double it, triple it in post or whatever. But yeah, I don't know if people know what flame bars are. Like, so in that scene when you see the building on fire.
Flame bar. There you go.
Yeah,
you get it. It's a bar of flames.
Fine. We won't talk about it. Now, guys, This is the first episode where the name of the episode comes first. We didn't do that before. Before it was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia would come up right after the cold open, and then we would do the title after that. Now, whose idea was it to start putting the title of the show first? Do you guys remember? I don't.
No.
Sure don't.
Yeah, it makes sense though, because we would often do some very, very on the nose ending to a cold open, and then boom, the punchline to the joke would be the title of the episode. So it made sense to do that next. But you guys don't remember whose idea that was or how that came about?
No, I just remember trying a bunch of different things in editing. I do know that this is probably one of the first or earliest times where we started setting up the fact that the characters are somewhat cartoonish insofar as they could get hit. I remember having long conversations about this. The previous episode, we got hit by a car, right? Or a couple of the characters got like mowed down by a car. Sure. And then we're like, what are we going to have them in casts for? Like how long from that episode is the next episode taking place? Is it a day? Is it a week? Is it a month? We got into a point where it didn't matter anymore. But in this episode, we had to establish Frank as being a part of the bar. So we just had them cutting their casts. Our compromise was, no, they'll be fine. We'll just have them cut their casts off in the first scene. And then I think we have Frank wearing a boot. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's all that's mentioned.
But the boot is great. The boot
is hilarious.
We had the boot adds so much to that episode.
If we weren't establishing Frank as a character and slowly integrating him into the bar, we would have just showed up in the next episode with nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you thinking about, Rob? Your eyes just went up to the ceiling.
Yeah, you drifted up to the...
You were looking up to the ceiling, which always tells me that you're thinking about something.
You had a joyful memory about something.
I was just thinking about how much fun shooting that episode was. I remember being outside. We didn't do a lot of night work in season 1, did we? I can't even remember, but I remember like feeling like we were finding our stride, and it wasn't as much like fighting. I remember the first season, not fighting, but like we were creatively collaborating and trying to find the show. So the first season was really tough, and I feel like the second season got a lot easier. And so like at night, when we were outside shooting that scene where we were throwing the toilet paper, I just remember that being really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. Well, it was also it was like during those days. I don't think we did it that night, or maybe we did. I don't know. We used to start nipping at some alcohol when we were shooting the night
night
scenes.
shoot's a lot of fun if you're not seeing the sunrise. It starts getting unfun once you get past midnight. But if once it gets dark, it's like
especially if you're in your mid to late 20s.
Have you guys ever toilet papered somebody?
Like their house?
Yeah, or been toilet papered?
Yes.
Trees for sure.
Yeah, trees.
I mean,
I don't know about houses. Yeah, trees.
It's tough to get it over a house.
The day before Halloween used to be like a go destroy your neighborhood day.
Yeah.
Did you guys have that?
Yeah.
It was all right, we're about to, the kids are going to get some candy, but before that happens, let's
destroy our neighborhood.
Let's make them feel as though society is holding on by a tenuous thread here.
We used to do a fun trick where we would pull stop signs out.
Oh, good.
That's good, right?
That is good.
Yeah, that was a good trick. Fun trick. Boy. I know, just the kind of thing I think about now, and I'm like, what in the hell?
I can remember one specific Halloween where there was word that one of the kids in the neighborhood was going around with bags of shit and throwing them at you. So we were out causing trouble, but being like, man, I hope I don't run into that dude.
The bags of shit guy?
Yeah, and throwing bags of poop comes back in this episode.
We used to also do this thing where we would drive by a mailbox and somebody would hang out the passenger side with a baseball bat and just smash mailboxes.
I wonder if anyone's ever
Nice.
taken that swing and then their arms just flew off. Like the mailbox.
Right.
Like,
the mailbox won?
Yeah, like some guys like, guess what, motherfucker, I'm going to reinforce this mailbox.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I'm sure it has happened.
Takes the kids' arms
some
out.
type of explosive in there so that the whole thing.
That'll do it.
Wow.
That'll do it. Take
That'd
the
be
whole
exciting.
car out.
We accidentally, me and some friends, decided to light a fire in somebody's front lawn. and ended up lighting their entire front lawn
in
on fire.
Alabama.
Hilarious.
In Alabama.
Well, you know,
okay.
it's where you,
let's dig into that a little bit, shall we?
let's avoid that one.
you're
Actually,
just trying to have fun. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You're just
yeah.
trying to have
There's a
fun.
long history of that kind of fun in Alabama.
Yeah.
No. Hang on a second. There was nothing like that. It was we were
You just
What were you
admit-
burning?
you just
What were you burning?
Yeah.
we were anything we could get our hands on.
Sure. Okay.
two
Not
two
people.
pieces of wood.
No,
two
I know
pieces of
two
wood.
pieces of wood was what we were thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you guys were thinking. Oh, that's
Well, it's
interesting.
just
That's an
'cause of
interesting stereotype. You guys want to talk about how you're stereotyping Alabama? You guys want to talk about that for our fans in Alabama?
Well, you were telling the story about how you were burning things on people's lawns.
No.
in
I
Alabama.
didn't say
Yeah,
burning
yeah. It
things
was
on
a
people's lawns.
one-to-one
I said
connection.
burning their lawn. I said burning their lawn. I said burning their lawn.
Wasn't it?
Hey man, I just burned their lawn. Okay.
Yeah. It was a white people's house, by the way. Okay, in case you're wondering.
Hey, I had a question for you. By this point, were we still we were still shooting in the Barclay Hotel, right? For
Yeah.
Charlie's.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So have we talked about the Barclay Hotel?
No.
Okay, so the Barclay Hotel is this downtown hotel, which probably when it was built in 1925 was the Cat's Meow, right? Like that's the place where everybody wanted to stay, the movie stars and whatnot. This is where all the hep
I'm
cats.
irritated by the fact that you said the cat's meow.
I like it.
It just.
I like it.
All the
it
hep
just-
cats.
Yeah.
all the hep cats.
It didn't feel right.
wanted to get down at the Barclay Hotel.
Yeah.
And then sometime probably in
their zoot suits.
mid 60s to 70s, that turned into you can live here if you want. I'm guessing it was around that era.
I
And then
actually believe it was Charlie Parker, famous jazz saxophonist. I think that was his spot.
that was where
really?
he, that was where he
Yeah,
lived.
yeah. He would stay there when he was in town.
Oh.
Now he was also famous for
Music.
and
I don't think
I
was he
believe
heroin?
doing excessive amounts of drugs, right?
I don't know.
Wow,
That
I'm
could-
just
I don't know that about
maybe
Charlie
that's
Parker.
I'm stereotyping
You
jazz
could be
musicians.
stereotyping again,
Okay,
man.
fair
Yeah.
enough. Now
Yeah.
now we're digging deep. We're
You
digging
might be
deep.
thinking of the guy. Who was the guy that Ethan Hawke played in that movie? He
Miles
was-
Davis.
Come on, man.
He was into the heroin for sure.
Was he?
Miles, yeah.
Miles, big time.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway, the Barclay Hotel eventually became the kind of place where you could live and or just buy a few nights or buy a few hours,
Right.
I believe. It still exists down there. It's the kind of place... Is that where they found a body in the water well? In the
No, that's
water
a
tank?
different
That's a different
hotel.
one. But it's... Yeah.
Excuse me. They found a body in the
Cecil.
water.
Oh, you don't know about
Yeah,
this?
in the drinking water.
Oh, this is spooky shit. So they have like images of this woman going up to the 7th floor, and she's acting very strange. Down to the 1st, up to the 7th, down to the 1st, and then that night they find her body in the drinking water.
Well, no, sorry. It's so much more sinister.
Oh yeah. It's worse.
People
Yeah.
are... It starts before that, where people are like, why is this water taste weird?
Oh God, they were drinking
It
her.
smells bad and it tastes weird and it's like a different color.
Yeah.
And then they went up in
Wait
there
a
and they
minute,
were
when
like,
you say the drinking water, you're implying that was not also the shower water. And
yes,
the bath
all of that water.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
all
okay.
of the same water.
Any tap water in one of these seedy hotels is
Okay.
Yeah.
already suspect.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
and they
yeah.
went up there and they found a body in there that had been decomposing for a few
The woman had
days.
been going up and down and up and down.
And then
the
they have all the
elevator.
security footage of like weird
It's
shit.
very creepy.
Well, wait a minute. What is I can't. I'm
And
trying
then there
to
are
follow.
people
the-
that go and try to recreate the steps to see.
Well,
if-
but
see if
are
they
you saying
die.
she put herself in the?
No, of course not.
Why was
You-
she going up and down? Was she going up and down and so much that somebody got irritated and killed her and put her in the
mystery.
water tank?
Well,
It's a myth.
she
You
could
gotta
have
watch
been
the
trying to
documentary.
avoid.
She's up,
some-
she's down, she's up, and she's down. She's driving me crazy. And then somebody just like murdered her and was like, "I'm putting her in the water."
basically. And I think you just made yourself suspect.
Well, I'm just saying it
Where
would
were you?
anger me as well.
In
In 1930s.
there was also a suggestion that she was mentally ill and that maybe she committed suicide. It's all very
but then it was
strange.
like, how do you can't get in the tank?
How do
Anyway,
you get into a fucking water tank?
You don't. That's the thing.
Well, no, but how? Like, if I was like, you know what, I'm going to hop into my water tank at my house. How would I do that?
No,
You don't have
apparently
one.
you could at the Cecil Hotel.
No, one of those big ones on the roof that looks like a
yes.
little. Yeah. It's on the roof of the thing. It looks like a little house.
Like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
All right.
great for stashing a body that you want people to then later drink.
That is the thing. There was a guy who was like, I want people to drink her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just kill her. I want people to drink her.
It was
psycho.
Yeah, it was that person.
Oh, God.
Anyways,
Yeah, we'll cut that.
Anyway,
There had to be like a really ghoulish guy there. You were just like, I know it was him. I just can't prove it. Look at him. Look at him. He wants me to drink people. You can see it in his eyes. I can see it in his eyes. He wants me to drink people.
I'm just saying, drink some people. All right.
But anyway, the Cecil Hotel and the Barclay Hotel are very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar. Like,
CD
if you
joints.
found out that you were drinking people at the Barclay Hotel, would you be surprised?
No, not in the slightest bit. Not in the slightest
And
bit.
that is where we found Charlie's apartment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
made
yeah.
perfect sense for them.
And we essentially, yes, we brought in, at the time, furniture and things like that and set design, but I don't think we changed anything else. We didn't change the molding, the floor,
No.
the rugs.
No.
Were the walls maybe even painted that color?
Yes,
I think they were.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think they
because
were.
we didn't have enough money to go in there.
Strange
did we?
blue.
Wow. So that room still exists. I wonder if it looks the same. Because we started building the set a few years after
It's
that.
probably like people are paying like $2,000 a night to stay there. Like who knows?
right.
Downtown is so different now. It's crazy.
Oh, right. Yeah,
But
yeah.
not like
Well-
that. Not that street. Not that area.
Yeah, that's still tough.
I think
over
that's
there.
still.
Dan Attias directed all 10 episodes of this season. Wonderful director, mostly known for drama, almost exclusively known for drama, which we preferred because we didn't like it when directors tried to make things funny. We found it made it less funny. So we just wanted somebody who could shoot a story really, really well, and Dan Attias was extremely talented. And we needed somebody who could pull off essentially shooting all 10 scripts as if it was one big script because we only had Danny DeVito for 20 days.
Yep.
And then it ended up being, what, 25 days?
No, I think he gave us way more than
30.
that. I think after the first
Right.
3 days, he was like, "Oh, these guys are fun." And
this
I
is,
get it.
yeah. Because originally I think he was like, you got me for 20 days. And we're like, holy shit. We had to shoot
I think,
all
I
of
think
Danny's.
originally it was 15 days.
It was
we
15.
were like
It
3
was 15
weeks.
days,
Jesus.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to front load all the Danny scenes we shot pretty much first, with a couple of exceptions. I think we threw in some things for locations and stuff like that. Because do you remember the first scene we shot of the whole season?
Season 2?
Season 2, sorry, yes.
No.
No.
If I am not mistaken, it was the scene that we have where we're sitting in front of the lawyer played by Ravi Patel.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That could be right.
I believe that was the very first scene we shot of the season, and one of the things I know, this is just pure vanity, I decided to get a haircut before we shot that season, and my guy just cut my hair way too short, and I hated it so much. And I remember
and then
that.
you're locked in.
Yeah, I'm locked in. And I just remember that being the very first scene and trying to figure out how to make my hair bigger.
Your hair was small.
It was
I was
so
wondering
small.
what you were wearing. I noticed. I was like,
I had a bracelet on in that scene.
Did you have a bracelet
Yeah,
on?
yeah. Just like a little, like black string.
This was the first time I noticed, and I don't know if I did this in the first episode of season 2, but certainly in the second episode, I did notice this, that I had on blue Dickies and black boots, which I then
that's
proceeded to
really
wear
good.
and continued to wear for the next 14 seasons.
Yeah.
So I
Are you
think
going to try to keep I'm probably going to keep my army jacket and sneakers that I've worn through the whole thing.
What do you mean keep them?
No, they were mine when we started the show, and
Oh,
they're
oh,
mine
yeah.
when we finish.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the Dickies, I just actually, I brought a few pairs of Dickies back in today to give back to wardrobe because I don't think I'll be wearing those consistently. But I mean, maybe one day they'll go up in the Smithsonian. What do you think, Glenn?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
no.
doubt
Everything
about
about this show has been celebrated widely by great institutions such as the Smithsonian. So that would be consistent with that. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think that's going to happen. Let's talk about my buddy Ravi Patel.
Yeah.
Quite good. I quite enjoyed him in that scene.
He's great in the scene. He's great. I love that guy. He and I did a short film together after season 1 of the show, and that's how I got to know Ravi. And then we cast him on the show because he's great. And Ravi and I are still very good friends. I love that guy. I miss him. He moved to Nashville. He's still in the biz. He just decided to get the hell out of Los Angeles and move his family to Nashville. So I'm kind of missing that guy. But yeah, Ravi was great in that. And he also has, I'm going to do a plug. I'm going to do a plug for his HBO show. He did a show. They only did 4 episodes.
Really quick, are they paying me anything?
No.
Okay. So Rob.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a
Do
plug
you
for Ravi's show.
remember-
I'm going to do a plug for Ravi's show.
Sorry,
'cause it's great.
I'm not getting anything out of it.
Yeah, that's okay. You don't have to.
Okay.
It's called
Rob, do
Ravi
you
Patel's
remember-
Pursuit of Happiness. And it's great.
It's for Ravi.
Yes.
Ravi's, what's it called?
I believe his name is pronounced Ravi.
No. The show.
Ravi Patel's
Pursuit.
Pursuit of Happiness.
Okay.
Idiot.
This is just like the show where we talk over each other.
Yeah. I remember getting in an argument with Mr. Dan Adius about that Ann Archer scene where she comes in. Do you recall this?
What were you arguing about? What was your argument?
Well, the director traditionally directs the episode and then gets his cut of the episode, and then the writers and producers come in and post.
Yeah.
And we had quite an argument.
I do remember that
about that specific scene where
in editing.
Yes.
Okay. Where we had cut it significantly down because we felt it just worked best in the form that you see it today.
Right.
But and Dan had felt as though we had really like butchered the scene.
Uh-huh.
And voiced it, which is
which was his right. But then
we were like, great, thank you very much, and we're gonna air it like this. And then he pushed back.
Yeah,
then he pushed back on that.
For the folks at home that maybe don't know this, in films, the director has much more
the final
agency.
Say, except for if he's got final cut.
Some directors get final cut, but usually there's a big P producer that comes in and he gets final cut.
Or she.
No. Usually it's the studio or not like it's it's Walt Disney or whatever it is.
Right, they get the final cut, but the director is the big man on campus or woman
or they or them.
Oh my God, on a film, Jesus Christ. The big human on campus is the director.
Well, they may not identify as human. It's the big entity.
Maybe this is a boring part of the podcast, or maybe this is something people find interesting, but even though it seems like it's a lot of fun to make the show, and it is, and it seems like we're laughing and having a good time all the time, we're constantly fighting with each other, like constantly. But I use the word fighting, I mean disagreeing with each other. We're not. Once we realize that our egos are getting involved, which they do from time to time, then we have to check that. But it is a constant negotiation.
Yeah,
it's negotiating with each other. I wouldn't say that it's fighting, because that implies that we're just having major disagreements of personality, and that's never happening. That's maybe if it's happening once a season, we're having a sit down. The three of us sit down and say, "Hey, I have an issue with this, that, or the other thing," and it usually happens in the writing process, and it usually, gets settled in an hour discussion, and then we move on. But on set, it's all a creative discussion,
Totally. Nobody's ever yelling at each other, but I guess the point is that we're always navigating strong opinions, and we're constantly compromising and working with one another because we respect each other, but that doesn't mean we roll over, right? So everybody feels strongly about it. But to your point that you were just saying, Charlie, there's usually at least one big blow up every year that we have to like go our separate ways, and then for a day or so, and then come back and then have a conversation, or like I gotta shoot you guys like a text and be like, I'm sorry, I fucked up, but this year I don't think we had that.
No,
not yet.
No, we did.
We did. We were.
It was something early in the writing where we sat down and we hashed out. It was sort of the same frustration we usually get in the writing process.
And then we were saying we should do this on the podcast. What was that?
It was the gist of it was you were getting frustrated.
Me, Rob.
Yeah, you Rob, were getting frustrated.
That checks.
Yeah, that tracks, definitely.
Because you had a story thing you liked, and Glenn and I were...
Oh, I know what it was.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I didn't want to interrupt.
He just cut him off. He just cut you off.
No,
dude.
he said...
Dude,
do you see that? He just cut you off.
Deflect.
Hold on. Charlie was in the middle of something, and you just jumped right on top of him.
No, we were
Charlie,
mad at him. We were mad at him. Don't deflect.
Doesn't he always do this?
No, but it was that we couldn't get. You wanted to just get something done. It was frustrating for you to sort of have to slow down because we were like, no, this isn't good enough, and it was exhausting because you were like, in my mind, I know it works.
I remember what it was.
I did too. It was in the castle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a sequence in a castle.
Don't give it away.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't give it away.
Well. Okay. All right.
Without the specifics.
We have a sequence in a castle that turns bad,
Yeah.
And Rob had a very specific idea of how that should be executed. And to be fair to him, that was the idea that we, I think, had in the break, right? So that was in the break. That was in the story break that came out of the writer's room and the outline and all that. And it was executed that way. And when Charlie and I read it, we were like, it felt to us as though it was derivative, right? Or something we'd done. It was something that we'd seen before, or something we'd done before in our minds. And in your minds, it was like, no, this is different enough, or it's different, maybe totally. You can attest to your own point of view on this, but you were like, I know this works. Why are we creating extra work for ourselves? Why are we fixing something that I know works?
No, but the argument came out of you wanting to say, all right, fine, then you guys just do it. I don't, and us saying, no. I know it's exhausting, but we don't want you to just say, all right, fuck it, you guys do it.
Right.
We want to have the argument because we know we'll get to the best place. And the justifiable frustration of 15 years of that, is exhausting. But that's sort of a recurring theme, which is that to pull this off the way that we do, it's an exhausting process.
Yeah, there's a lot of push and pull, and we're constantly trying to figure out how to streamline and take that stuff out, so to make the process easier, so that we can have, theoretically, so that we can have more fun. And we don't always totally disagree on where that line is. Like I would say that, Rob, you tend towards, let's just make things easier for ourselves. Not that you're not concerned about quality, you are. But one thing you've brought up before is that sometimes those big blowout arguments or those big fights, those things that like take a lot of energy and time to discuss, will maybe, when all is said and done, make the show 1%, 2% better. And in your mind, you're like, that's not worth it, because I've got a life, and I've got sanity, and I'm 44, and I've got my blood pressure to worry about. And that's fair. And sometimes, and I tend to come down on the side of, I would rather have those arguments and potentially make the show 10% better, and then maybe be okay with it if it only makes it 2% better.
Yeah, where we're always negotiating, or where I'm negotiating it in my mind, is when I feel like we're making it 1% to 2% different.
Yes, that is true.
Because better is in the eye of the subjective holder.
Yes. Well, better is in the eye
of the 2 against 1.
Of the 2 against 1.
That's what we've always agreed to. Yeah. So
we've always agreed to, and it is a fantastic process creatively. And I will say, on things where I've not had it, I have sorely missed it.
But yeah, other than that, I don't think we had any.
I feel like that argument was.
We're also so used to it now that we probably don't even notice it as many times as we have those things.
That was the shape of argument that we had for like 3-4 years. But I don't remember older ones, what they were about. Do you guys?
Oh God. Older argument, like arguments about stuff.
Yeah, I don't really remember any of them, really. I don't feel like we had that many of them.
We did.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we've had so many. So many.
What about?
They were less of we weren't as capable of communicating, I think. So we would just get pissed off and walk away. But I can't remember.
When we were younger and more insecure, and maybe felt that we had something to prove to the other person, if they felt like, there was it was almost like, this person thinks he's smarter than me. You know what I mean? And I have to prove that I'm just as smart and creative as the other person. You know what I mean? Almost like there was the thing of like, not competitive, but when you dig your heels in on something, because you feel like it's when your ego slips into it. And we've gotten much better about recognizing when I'm fighting for something that I want because my ego can't let it go, versus I really genuinely think that creatively this is the best decision. We've gotten a lot better at figuring out when it's our egos instead of when it's not a creative discussion anymore. It's just a digging my heels in because my ego is hurt. And that's something, honestly, that's something that I think that has served me in my real life too. Through doing that so many times and being in uncomfortable arguments with people that because I don't like confrontation. But getting comfortable with being in those confrontations has made me able to face that kind of stuff in my personal relationships too. It's been therapeutic for me.
I don't recall ever feeling like that from either of you guys, and always feeling like it was about a sense of what is the best version of this TV show. and digging in on that, but never ever really feeling like it was like an ego thing, but always like strong opinions about like, well, what's going to make this work or not work, which I think is great.
Yeah. Well, different strokes for different interpretations for different.
I'll have to go through and make a list of all the things that we used to fight about.
Different interpretations for different beings. Doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
What does something have to be?
Right. That's
But
what's the
can
word
you
I'm looking
guys?
for?
I truly can't remember what any of the arguments are about. Can you actually remember those? I mean, I can remember this season because it was only a couple months ago.
It's usually about you not being able to remember stuff. Well, okay. How about this? Let's talk about. This was the first time we ever sang a song.
Oh, yeah.
We came up with the idea of like. We thought it was very funny. The idea of
that wasn't scripted, right? That was us like sitting
No,
there at
that
the
was
end of the
not
episode.
scripted.
and
That
we
was
were
not
like,
scripted.
We're just sitting here at the bar
What's the
waiting
most-
for Frank to come in. We should do something.
Yes. Well, and the thought was, what's the most nonchalant follow-up to having blown up a building next door?
That's a good bit.
And possibly being, because you expect it to come into the next scene and be like, what are we going to do, guys? We got to make sure that there's no fingerprints. We got to make sure, like, how do we cover our asses here? We're gonna be in big trouble. But no, we're in the bar working out the harmonies to the Extreme song, More Than Words.
Yeah.
And I
It's a
thought that was very
great
funny
cut.
at the time.
I'd forgotten it watching it, and
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Totally
I
forgot
thought
about
it
that.
sounded pretty good too.
Yeah, we did sound pretty good. We
I
sounded all right.
left this episode.
not bad.
If I'm thinking about the first episode of season 1, where my thought after watching it was, I wonder why people liked this show or started to watch this show. I watched this episode and I was like, I wonder why more people didn't love this show. Why weren't people watching this show? Because it's good.
I think I've always said this. I really do think that the look of the show is a bit of a turnoff for people.
yeah,
The
I
name,
think so,
the
too.
title. The title is tough.
The title is tough. But also, like, I think our sense of humor is very specific, and sometimes it takes people a second to go, oh, okay. I still think there are some people who just don't get what the joke is. Like, I mean,
Right.
I've often talked about how I had to watch The Kids in the Hall 3 or 4 times before I would watch that show and I'd be like, this is so stupid. This is so fucking dumb. I don't get it. Even as a kid, I was like, this is so juvenile and dumb. Like, the jokes are just dumb. And then, like, the 4th or 5th time, something clicked. I don't remember what sketch I was watching. Something clicked where I was like, oh, it's dumb on purpose. They're smart, making a show doing sketches about dumb people. And then it became funny to me.
A lot of my favorite things to watch, movies, whatever, are things that get better, significantly better on your second or third watch.
Right. People often, that was why The Big Lebowski wasn't a big hit right off the
Totally.
bat, because
That's a
some
great
people had to
example.
see that movie
Yeah,
like
the
2 or 3
the
times.
more you watch it, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
And what a terrible business model that is to like make something that you're like, well, the next time you watch this is going to be better. But lots of very popular movies I could never sit through again.
Well, also, but
all the great ones, in my opinion, like on your first viewing, you're like, huh.
but
And
it's
then
not
you
like
watch it again.
It's not like anyone. I don't think anyone consciously goes, nobody's going to get this the first time around, but
No,
the
of
second
course
time
not.
around,
Of
you know what I
course
mean?
not.
Nobody
Of course not.
consciously,
Yeah. No, you're just layering things in that are subtle, and then
right, and hopefully doing something to. But I mean, I think anytime.
And by the way, a lot of people probably watch those movies and totally get them the first time around.
yeah.
It's probably just a statement.
But
on me.
I find it to be the same thing with music too, where I'll listen to an album from a band that I like, and there'll be like 1 or 2 songs on there. And I'm like, I'm just not into that song, but I force myself to keep listening to it as I listen to the whole album through, from beginning to end. And oftentimes those songs that were not very good to me at first become my favorite songs and the ones that I listen to the most, because I don't know what that is. It's like when something's really catchy right off at the offset, it's like it gets old faster, but when something takes a little bit more like time and work to kind of sort of like suss out what makes it special, sometimes that has more staying power. I don't know. In my experience.
And I also find, if you use music as an example, like whenever you talk to those like musicians, whether they're like Kings of Leon, like huge or Imagine Dragons, and I'll ask them like when like they're writing in their music, they don't think of themselves as big pop stars or big rock stars, nor do they think of themselves as like niche. They're just like, I'm making what I make. I don't know, and it just seems to like, and I feel like I feel like I don't think of ourselves as niche, even though we are. I'm just writing what I think is funny, so I think everybody is going to think it's funny, but they don't.
There is some truth to that in terms of you're making something that plays by its own set of rules, and those rules are completely intangible, and you're looking at it and you're either saying, this isn't following the rules, or this isn't adding up to, what it's supposed to add up to, but there's no like pie chart of like, this is what an episode is, this is what a story is. It's just something like you've internalized, I guess, from watching other things, and it either feels like the thing or it doesn't. And when it doesn't, you can't really point a finger at anyone or anything. You're just killing yourself. You're like, why doesn't this compute?
I mean, this is why I'm a bit like I'm always I overuse the word authentic, because it really is true for me that I don't like it when I feel like a musician or a show or a movie is doing it for me. I want the musician or the band or the show, I want it to be that they are doing something that they love, and they almost don't give a shit if anybody else likes it. I want to feel like they could care fucking less if I like it.
There's a weird middle ground in there where it's like you truly can make a movie or an album for no one, and then you listen to it and you'll be like, right, this is for no one.
Well, no, I'm not. No. But that's yes, and that does exist. I mean, certainly where somebody makes something that's purely for themselves and it's absolute trash because it literally is only something that person could enjoy.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm referring to is when you feel like a band, they just write the best, the coolest shit that they can come up with that really means something to them and is like fucking awesome for them, and then can't understand why nobody else likes it, and then there's a few niche people who do. Or in the example of Imagine Dragons or Kings of Leon, where they're just writing songs, they're like, I don't know, this is like this, we think this fucking kicks ass, and then they put it out into the world and the world agrees. They're like, this does kick ass. This is great. And that's where, you get extraordinarily lucky because you've done something authentic to yourself. And then it's ironically something that makes you very successful. And I mean, in our case, we made a show. We were always making a show that, I was just trying to do something that I thought was funny, and I enjoyed making you guys laugh. And that's all. And I was like, I'm going to let that just be the barometer, right? If it's making us laugh, fuck it. That's what we'll do. You know what I mean? And we did that from the beginning. And I think most of it was because we were, at least for me, I was fairly convinced that it probably wasn't going to catch on and that it wasn't going to work. So I was like, I want to go out doing something that I'm proud of. And then it did work. Sort of. Sort of worked.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been fun.
It's been fun, but it hasn't been funny. Maybe it doesn't always need to be funny. Were you laughing?
I was laughing earlier.
Here's what we're going to do now. Now we're going to go and we're going to sit and we're going to look at an episode. And we're going to sit the three of us and we're going to look at an episode.
Mm-hmm. When you say look at an episode, we're going to edit.
We're going to edit.
We're going to get in the editing room. This is our first day in the editing room of season 15.
Yep.
We've watched a little bit.
We've already Charlie and I have given notes on a few cuts.
Yeah, they didn't ask me to come.
No, it's always good to have fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Always good to keep fresh eyes.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Let's go with that? Well, we can maybe even lock one today.
We'll see. I don't know, maybe. I don't want to put any pressure on.
Put one to bed here.
Well, we just put everybody else to bed, so why don't we put one of the episodes to bed?
All right, Glenn! Yeah. All right, Glenn!